yeah, if you're a One Piece fan and you love the live action, there's more power. But like, there's a part of me that doesn't really understand the love the show is getting. Like, you and I came up with the theory that like the showrunners like summon Satan in a circle.
It's a spell,
and like sign the spell and sign their souls away.
Yeah.
And then any kind of like, it's just everyone just loves it all of a sudden,
It's like when you're watching it and thoughts of like maybe it's not that good are creeping into your head. You hear that like Sauron whispering. It's like,
it's like, oh.
And to be honest, I was under that spell for a lot of the time, I think. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Two Asian Blokes podcast, a podcast where we talk about Asian pop culture, films, TV shows, comic books, anime, music, food, video games, whatever we're feeling at the time, really. My name is Dan with H, and with me, as always, my co-host, Harvey. Hey, Harvey.
Hi, Dan. We're jumping straight into the deep end.
Yep.
And that's no pun intended, actually, if you think about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, you and I and the entire Two Asian Blokes team we've had a good run, Harvey. But sadly, all good things must come to an end. This is probably going to be the last episode of Two Asian Blokes podcast, because today you and I are going to be reviewing the live-action adaptation of One Piece.
Yep.
A TV show that everybody on the internet somehow collectively adores, but a TV show which you and I both did not like very much, right?
Oh, just straight up. Yep.
Yeah, I want to be very clear. This is not a clickbait video. You have not been lured here with a title that implies something negative about the show, but is actually quite positive about the show. No, we didn't like it.
Yeah, no, we didn't like it.
This is real, guys. This is happening. Yeah. So after this brutally honest review, I will probably, no doubt, be torn to shreds by the legion of people that are somehow in love with it. Despite the fact that it's just not that good.
already hung up my Two Asian Blokes t-shirt. It's just in the closet now.
Thank you to everybody that's listened to us so far. Couldn't have made it here this far without you guys.
We've made quite a few jokes of us this being our last episode, but this really is the last episode because we will be turning on our TVs at some point, and then it'll fizzle out to the analog static screen, and then some kind of entity will come out and kill us, and then you'll find our corpses in our closets.
Mouth agape.
Yeah, mouth agape. And you see my closet, so that'll be a very especially grisly discovery with the way that my closet is,
indeed.
situated in my room. So, I mean, like, we can probably like do our usual, what have we been watching?
We might as well. It might be the last time we're able to do it, Tommy. So we might as well do it. Before we do that, actually, if this somehow does not turn out to be our last episode, we will be doing a birthday. We're coming up to our 2-year birthday, Tommy, soon.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring this up is because I wanted to do like a little Q&A session with our listeners, I guess.
What an episode to bring this up on.
Yeah, I know. If this is the first Two Asian Blokes episode that you're listening to, and you're just blinded by hatred right now, write in, like send us a question. Where's any questions that you throw at us on our birthday special, which will probably be drinking and K-pop, I imagine.
It won't be anything too different.
Yeah. But no, send us some questions, guys. We'd love to answer some questions and give you guys our thoughts. You can contact us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com. You can just DM us on Instagram as well. We're at Two Asian Blokes. Or you can hashtag Two Asian Blokes on Threads if you use that thing. We'd love to hear some questions. If we survive this episode, that is. If not, doesn't matter.
Get buried in a lot of hate mail.
Regular segment time, right, Tavi?
Yeah.
Whatever we've been watching.
Yeah. What I've been watching is kind of like cued into what we're talking about today. Yeah. So what have you been watching first, maybe, if you want to kind of divert the topic a little bit?
I watched Knock at the Cabin. Wait, is it Knock at the Cabin or Knock at the Cabin Door? The M. Night Shyamalan film.
Yeah, the one with Batista.
That's
yeah.
it. Have you seen it?
No, I'd seen like a trailer for it. It looks like interesting, but as it is with M. Night Shyamalan movies, they're mostly misses.
He's pretty hit and miss kind of guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I didn't watch it. Nah.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for him. The latest movie before this one that I watched of his was Old, which was like hilariously bad, I guess.
Yeah. We talked about that a little
he's
bit.
He's really
yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan in like the best possible way, though. Yeah, he's a pretty tropey director. I'll say that. And he's got a certain style that doesn't always work. In fact, it quite often doesn't work. But Knock at the Cabin is refreshingly restrained on his part.
Okay. Yeah.
It's actually a really solid and simple story, told in a pretty solid and simple way, until perhaps the last 10 minutes of the movie where it goes full Shyamalan for a bit.
yeah.
But even that, I was pretty invested by then, so it was good. I really enjoyed this movie. Batista is in it, as you said, and he does an excellent job at just portraying this kind of like enigmatic character. Like, you don't really know entirely what to make of him. This movie has vibes of 10 Cloverfield Lane, if you enjoyed that movie.
Oh, yeah. I did like that movie, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so it runs on like paranoia, I guess. Like you're not really sure if the threat that they're speaking of is real or not. So that kind of builds the tension within this film. It's quite closed off of a situation, so the number of characters in it is quite low, you know. And yeah, that because it is set in this one cabin, right? So it's kind of has this kind of claustrophobic atmosphere as well. And the thing I like about this movie as well that kind of sets it apart from other M. Night films is that it's got a fair bit of heart in it. I'm not going to spoil the film because I think it is a film best enjoyed with going into it fairly blind. I mean, the three central characters are, you know, a family, and it's a young daughter and her two dads. And the story kind of not only revolves around this looming threat that they're trying to deal with, but also about like their family dynamic, I guess, and how much they cherish each other. And then, it kind of comes back full circle towards the end of the film. I don't remember seeing another M. Night Shyamalan film with as much kind of like emotional gravitas as this film. So I think, and it's not, like I said, it's very restrained. So like there is a kid character and she's a little bit weird, but she's not like, her dialogue is fairly realistic as opposed to other child characters in other M. Night Shyamalan films.
Shyamalan movies, yeah. Well, this one was based off a novel, wasn't it? So maybe he already had like the groundwork done for him, so he couldn't go like too crazy with it, maybe. Yeah, I did a little bit of research on it because I do find the premise pretty interesting, and I probably will watch it at some point. I just haven't gotten around to watching it amongst the myriad of other things.
It's on Netflix
that I've been
now,
watching.
so it's there.
Yeah. So probably gonna go watch the Equalizer 3 over.
Yeah, I mean that's probably fun as well.
Just dad action. Yeah,
but no, nice solid return to form for M. Night Shyamalan. I'm not sure how well this did commercially, but I hope he sees the value of restraint.
Yeah. I mean, I always appreciate like auteur directors, even if I am not particularly a fan of their work. I still appreciate that like they kind of get to make what they want to make, and that they have like a distinct style.
That's why I loved Old
when you watch it,
because it was like so unashamedly Shyamalan that it was kind of funny. But yeah, like there is something to be said of like taking a step back from time to time, I think, and just getting the fundamentals of storytelling right, you know? Which I think this movie does in spades.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
But what have you been watching?
Yeah, speaking of directors with a certain style, I watched Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh yeah,
last night. Yeah, It's a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
Very, very cartoony movie. And I also rewatched the Kenshin, the beginning. No, the final. Yeah, I was on Netflix.
I see you're doing a bit of comparative research.
Yes, that's right. Because, yeah, I mean, this is kind of going into the review, but also talking about these movies at the same time. I didn't really like the One Piece live action series that much. So I was wondering, like, why I didn't particularly like this iteration of it. Just like personally to me, I guess. Like,
Because, like we said at the start of this episode, the reception for this has been overwhelmingly positive.
has been overwhelmingly
So, yeah,
positive.
we were watching
Like,
it and throughout we were thinking, what's wrong with us? Like, why don't we like this?
it's the I see, like, it's the perfect adaptation. It's everything is perfect. There's not a single flaw. No, there's definitely many flaws. But like it's I because I remember reading something about like Ichiro Oda. Yeah, Ichiro Oda. Yeah, he said like live action wasn't possible until like he saw like Shaolin Soccer like a few years back or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, well maybe, there can actually be like a One Piece, live action, because One Piece is very cartoony. Oh, and I mean, I should preface this before we continue. Like, I used to watch One Piece like a long time ago in high school, and I watched up to like the Alabasta saga, or whatever 4Kids let me watch at the time, because it was obviously heavily censored back then.
Yeah.
And yeah, I obviously know of One Piece, and I know it's the most popular anime manga of all time at this current stage.
Yeah.
Like, and probably for the rest of our lifetimes, maybe. But it's the number one selling. So it has a big fan base. But I didn't really follow it that much for like maybe I'd say like at least 15, 16 years or so. Like I am out of touch with the anime.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do like the art style, and I do like I like the story, because I was also like, in terms of like what have we been watching, I watched the first 10 episodes of the original anime, and then I watched I think there's a 2-hour East Blue recap that involves Luffy, Nami, Sanji, Zoro, and Usopp.
Yep.
So it's just like those main beats, but like with better animation. And it's really good. Like, I actually like really enjoyed watching One Piece, the anime. Yeah. I was just like, man, this is fun.
I've
and
got
this is like
good memories watching this show. It's been a while for me as well. I think I got a little bit further than you. I got all the way up to the point where Ace is killed. Spoilers for One Piece, but I
mean, this is going to be a spoiler-filled show. Like, I mean, I don't think people are gonna. If you, I mean, if you're a One Piece fan, you probably stumbled upon this episode and probably are very pissed off. But that's all right.
But like you, I hadn't watched it for a long time, so I didn't go back to any of the episodes prior to watching this live action adaptation, because I wanted to kind of judge the adaptation on its own kind of feat, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the adaptation first, and then I watched the anime. Yeah.
So the link to Kung Fu Hustle is Shaolin Soccer.
Yeah, it's like it's obviously the very cartoonish elements, because I think Stephen Chow does that really well in live action, and I think Kung Fu Hustle is probably the perfect balance between like really silly cartoon Looney Tunes-esque humor with like an element of grit, because like it's a pretty violent movie at times as well. So when I was rewatching it, like I was having an amazing time. So I'm thinking, okay, so here's the balance between like live action and cartoon. But then
The best thing since The Mask, starring Jim Carrey.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then I rewatched Kenshin again, because this is kind of like the adaptation of like pretty old manga, which One Piece is also a pretty old manga by these days now. Something that's kind of more grounded, but it still has that like fast-paced action and like some cartoonish elements, such as like swinging your sword once and knocking over like 5 guys and them crashing through buildings and stuff.
Yep.
And like, so when I was watching the One Piece live action, I wasn't a big fan of the cinematography in this show because like there's a lot of clearly there's a lot of effort in its production design.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of big streets, there's like ships and, you know, but like I don't think it was shot very well to like emphasize the scale of the world because like when comparing like Kung Fu Hustle and Kenshin, I think the show lacks impact. And even like after watching the anime stuff again, I was realizing that I'm forgetting a lot of what actually happened in the live action because like it's like the anime was just superseding everything that happened in the live action. And I had to like rewatch some stuff just because I'm like, did this happen the way it did in the live action or so? Like, I mean, Nami's backstory, especially with Isabel Mir, her mother, her adoptive mother, she's like done way better in the anime. She's like badass. Yeah. And then in this one, she's just like woman that gets killed.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so I don't know. Like, I feel like this show is just forgettable and just a little bit mediocre. Yeah.
I was texting you while I was watching it and I was like, I'm not sure if I like this or not. Like, I was really on the fence. Like, there's something about it that I didn't quite like, but at the same time, it was giving me a lot of nostalgia because I was kind of being reminded of these story beats that, I, watched a long, long time ago in a different period of my life. So it did make me feel good at the same time watching this show.
Yeah.
So I was like, kind of like, I feel like maybe the part of me that enjoys cinema didn't really like it, but the part of me that enjoyed One Piece kind of liked it.
Yeah. You've been hanging out with me too long talking about films.
And I was like, honestly, in that mindset for the whole of the show, even until the end credits of the last episode. But then, you know how Netflix shows a trailer for the next thing, in the credits. So like the credits of the last episode started rolling and then it started playing the trailer for the anime One Piece. And it was a short section of the episode where Luffy meets Elvira for the first time. And it was so funny. Like I laughed a lot at just that trailer of the anime. And then I remembered, wow, I haven't laughed very much while watching this live action adaptation.
I know exactly what you mean. I had that same feeling rewatching the anime. And then it's just like
all the memories of the anime, like the actual anime, flooded back to me. I was reminded why, like a big part of why I enjoyed watching the One Piece anime so much is because it's so funny and because like every character in it is funny. Like the fact that Zoro is like a meathead, tough guy that kind of gets lost all the time in the middle of a fight. The fact that Sanji is like, he's a kind of a romantic, but he's also a bit perverted as well.
He's the Brock of the team.
The fact that Nami is kind of like greedy. The fact that Usopp is a coward and Luffy is a dummy. Like all of that is kind of in the show, but it feels really diluted and, like you said, like not impactful.
Yeah. I actually want to talk about it's like the casting because I actually think the casting of the main crew is good.
It's good.
I think the actors, they do well with what they have. I mean, especially Nami because like Emily Rudd is a fucking babe. Like,
No, but I really like the guy that plays Luffy as well. Inaki Godoy. I think he's an excellent choice, and I think that's been recognized by like both the original voice of Luffy, Tanaka Mayumi, as well as the mangaka Eiichiro Oda. Like both of them have said, this is the guy, and I agree. Like he's the guy. I don't Like,
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
like I have mad respect to the creators behind this show. I think like anime is super hard to adapt to live action, and like One Piece,
Yeah, yeah.
especially because it's so ridiculous in its story elements, is particularly
Mm.
hard. But like they show a lot of respect towards the source material in this show.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the leads are, yeah, they're obviously
That's kind of
fans.
what makes it hard. It makes it hard to critique.
It does. And I don't know, maybe that's why people are loving it so much, is because there's been a lot of kind of behind the scenes PR work being done by these people. And they all seem really like genuinely passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I didn't enjoy it that much.
But like, you're absolutely right. Because I mean, like, I'm always a stickler for people when they're adapting something to really like to stick close to the source material and not lose the soul. And I think like every people on this show have definitely paid their respects to it and they've done their best. But like at the end of the day, like there's still a level of critique that can be said to the show because like it's way better than Cowboy Bebop. Just straight up, it's way better than Cowboy Bebop. It has all the beats of the anime or the manga from what I can remember, like or from the bits that I've seen. But like, I mean, just going back to the casting, I think like the main cast is good, and then some of the. Like, I actually quite like the fish people. I think they did them pretty well.
Arlong is so good. Arlong is
Arlong is
the
good.
best part of this show, I reckon.
Yeah. I think the Arlong saga is probably the best arc of this show, of the live action. But some of the other casting, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's just a side character. I think it's just the world in general. It just looks a little bit high school cosplay. Like, just I don't know, because like I'm not sure if it's like the color coordination or the grime, that kind of some of the grimy aspects that you would expect to see in some of these worlds.
On it, Tavi, that Netflix filter,
that Netflix
haze,
orange,
right?
Netflix filter. Yeah. It kind of makes it look a little bit like cheap.
It does cheapen
as well, and because this is one of Netflix's most expensive shows. But like, I don't think the way that it was shot really emphasizes that. And this is including the action sequences as well. Because Nami has some, Zoro has some, and like I think the actors do a good job of showcasing the physicality. But it's also like it has that weird issue that I had with Cowboy Bebop, where it's kind of like floaty, and it just kind of lacks impact, because like just comparing it against it like Kung Fu Hustle or like Kenshin, there's like burly brawls, there's people crashing through the scenery, and there's a little bit of that in the Arlong saga, but like most of the time, like there's not really a use of what is in the scene, like within the fight sequence itself. So like there's a fight scene between like Zoro and what's his face, Kuro's goons. Yeah. It's like the fat guy and the small girl
in the mansion.
Yeah. And I remember like when I first watched it, I'm like, man, this is so fucking dark. Because I was actually my viewing experience of this was I was at a party and like people were like playing poker, and then I was like, I'm not a gambler, so a few of us were just drinking like Grey Goose, a bottle of Grey Goose, and watching One Piece. And I remember watching it like, man, this scene is so fucking dark. I couldn't see shit, but it sounded like there was a lot of stuff happening in the show.
It sounded like it.
It sounded like it. So I rewatched the scene, and it was like way shorter and like worse than I expected, in a sense that like there's not that much fighting here. And I think like the show, it doesn't really add anything on top of the anime or the manga that would make you want to watch it. Because if you look at Kenshin, you want to watch the Kenshin live action because the fight sequences are fucking fantastic. There's a huge element. That's like one of the main draws of the show. So like there's nothing that really stands out from the live action. Like it's not particularly funny like the anime. It doesn't have first of all, the medium, just the anime medium is just not there. So like, there's no reason really to watch it.
Well, it's a
because the
different
anime's
medium,
there.
right? Like,
It's a different medium. I mean, it's a medium to appeal to everyone. So Netflix has, they've succeeded, but like, it's also, it's just for someone. I don't know. I just couldn't buy it.
I mean,
man.
there is a benefit of live action in the fact that, like, when you see something of a grand scale in live action, it is kind of different to seeing it in animation. It's a bit more impressive, I think. Like,
but the scale is not there.
Yeah, it wasn't
it's
there.
Like the way it's shot,
I think
it wasn't there.
It felt more open than I expected it to be honest. And that's where you kind of see the money involved. Like when they're sailing out into the sea, like it's big. You can see that it's kind of big. But when they get to the town, like it looks like it might be big, but the way that it's shot is kind of like
exactly right. Because when you watch the anime, like the towns, like, they're populated, there's a large array of people, a large array of weird people, but like there's still people there, and even like with Kuro's arc, like there's supposed to be that other character, that like woman pirate that like has this like army of other pirates that come in. And I think that's like, there's not enough like pirate crews in this. It's just usually like 1, 2, or 3 people, and then it's just like, there's never like really a big burly brawl except in the Arlong Park saga, which they left out the octopus dude because that would just be impossible to do. I think,
thinking back on the action, I think the Arlong fight with Zoro and Sanji fighting all the fishmen, that's pretty much as good as you can get, almost. Like, I do see what you mean with the floaty stuff, but I think even Kenshin feels a bit floaty at times. It's kind of like
but there's anime. Floaty, but there's also like impact. So you can see them like crashing through like, all the buildings and stuff.
There's a bit like, I think maybe the cast is a bit unseasoned. And
well, they're not martial artists.
Zoro knows what he's doing, though. I think that comes across pretty
like the actors
easily.
The actors in fucking Kenshin. He's the villain in
like,
Kenshin.
You can see like his experience with that kind of cinema at play. But like the initial fight where like Nami and Luffy are fighting like the axe hand guys, goons, it looks really like cheap, I guess. It looks kind of like unplanned and stuff, and there's people get punched and stuff, but like it's clear there's no impact. Like they're like flying pretty far away from the punches and things like that. So like I feel like maybe the stunt team is just not, I don't know, maybe not as good as it should be.
That's interesting you said unplanned, because like to pull off a really good action sequence, you need to like plan everything, and then you can like add like the speed of the movements.
Like the only time I really felt that was during the last fight with Zoro and Sanji fighting all the fishmen. I think that looked pretty good. And even Usopp fighting the fish-lipped guy was that's like
it's kind of funny.
That's pretty classic Usopp. Like I did lol when that fishman just got obliterated. That was pretty funny. But
just
like
straight up kills him.
Speaking of which, there's a lot of killing in this live action.
A lot of killing and swearing.
A lot of killing and swearing. I'm not sure how I feel about. I think it does fit in this world that they've built with the live action. Like it does fit the tone. And I did laugh. There's a part where like Zoro tries to cut Buggy, and Buggy does his like separation thing. So Zoro misses, and then Buggy's like, "Surprise, shithead!" And I just cracked up. It was so unexpected.
Because it's just like just a fucking an S bomb right there. But like talking about the tone of the show, like it's obviously not gonna be 100% like to the anime. And I guess it shouldn't be, but it's also like I'm not sure if it really like how I feel about the tone. It kind of feels a little bit like confused. Because like again, I'm thinking of like Kung Fu Hustle. They went like full cartoon, and it kind of elevated some of the more like brutal moments. And just like watching the anime, like it's the anime is a cartoon, like through and through.
Yeah.
But when there were like those kind of more somber, sadder moments, like when Nami finally decides to ask for help from Luffy, or when Zoro is like gets mauled by Mihawk,
Yeah.
it's just much more impactful. Whereas in like the live action, I don't feel like any of the characters have enough of a reason or a moment to like have that gravitas and have Luffy want them to join, because the live action is moving at a pace which is fucking fast. It's 44 episodes condensed into 8 hours.
Yeah.
Usopp doesn't really do anything in the live action. He's
He
just like
kills that fish man.
he kills a fish. He kills a fish dude, and he has his arc. But I think it just fell like flat.
I think a lot
with
of this show
everyone.
felt flat. Like even though it is brisk and they are like condensing the story, I think they do a decent job at condensing the story. But the opportunities that they had to provide impact, they just fell short. Like Luffy beating Arlong should be a big thing. Like it's such a big moment in the anime. But in the live action, it kind of just happens. And like,
I think that's the same with all the villains they beat in the live action. It just happens. Yeah.
In the anime, it's like every time Luffy introduces a new move, like he's doing it for the first time for the audience.
Yeah.
It's huge in the anime. Like there's a big build up to it, and then it happens, and he beats the bad guy with it. But like in this, they kind of just happen, and I don't know if it's like that this show is being made with the fans in mind, so the fans already know like about these moves, so they don't put as much emphasis in the build up because we already know it's going to happen. But they should have put emphasis on the build up because it should be a big deal when he does these things. Because even though like we know about these moves, having watched the anime, this is the first time we're seeing it in live action, and it really robs like these key moments, like when he beats Kuro, and when he beats Arlong, and even when he beats Buggy. Like it robs these moments of their gravitas.
Of the triumphant feeling.
Because maybe it's a lack of music. Maybe I don't really remember, but
I don't really remember the music either.
I remember the sick trap beats whenever Arlong's on screen. Yeah, they were pretty sick.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about these like trap beats, man. It feels very like
modern. The character, I reckon.
I don't know. It just seemed odd. Just like it doesn't seem very piratey. I actually had to like re-listen to samples of the soundtrack just to kind of like. And some of it is quite piratey, so it's like it's okay, it's fair enough. But it's also like
Arlong is more of a gangster than a pirate, to be fair. So like that kind of fits his character. I don't know. I was digging it. I like the contrast, I guess.
I mean, going back a bit, how you were talking about like the moments like feeling flat. I think like the issue with live action now is because like there is so much story to cover, and there is just so much lore, and it's live action, so the actors are going to get older, so it's like it's whether like they take their time to maybe like explain or show an arc more in its fullest, or they just keep going at a brisk pace before actors get too old and we can't like film anymore. So it's I get that it's hard because like for me I would be like maybe more episodes and just like with more of the side characters, like just to kind of emphasize the struggles a bit more or to give it more weight, and like to make it feel less flat, because they got rid of a lot of stuff, like they don't have the little girl who gives the onigiri to Zoro. They don't have Don Krieg.
They did have the little girl. Yeah, she drops the food on the floor and then he picks it up and eats it. Yeah, they did that.
Oh yeah, I didn't even remember that. There you go. See, it's already been like superseded. So like, it's funny. I was watching this live action with like someone at the party who was a big One Piece fan, and he didn't have a very glowing view. He was like, what is this? Like, why did they
so we're
change
not the
this?
only people that weren't digging this show.
He said like, yeah, we watched the first episode and then he went to go vape. He's like, oh man, it was a struggle. And then he left. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, even like the characterizations, like, I mean, I haven't seen him in the anime, but Garp comes in pretty early.
I really disliked the characterization of Garp in this show.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to say that he's too vicious. Yeah,
I had the opposite I don't know. Reaction. I think it's too soft.
Oh, really?
I think like they stripped all the mystery of this character away, because he's a character where you don't really know what he's thinking until like later down the line. Like you find out he's Luffy's granddad, I think, pretty early, but like he doesn't show his softer side. But like in the live action, he's like explaining everything that he's thinking to the audience. Like, and there was too much like Garp and Kobe for me in the live action. But like
a little Garp.
Kobe was really good, and Helmeppo was really good, but I think there was just too much of that storyline got like throughout the show that it kind of took away time that they could have used for like more character development of the main crew, or like better action maybe, or I don't know, like something. But like, too much marine stuff.
Yeah, there's nothing that elevates it. Yeah, there's like, because I was talking to another mate that was like a big One Piece fan. It's like, you don't really watch One Piece for the action. It's like watching the show for the bonds that the characters make with each other and swear to each other, you know. So, but like the one thing that could really like have elevated the show was really cool action sequences, because that's not, the anime doesn't have that. Like the anime, it's quite, especially like from 1999. And,
especially when they're fighting fodder characters. It's like, like,
it's just a swipe and then it's always like a cut to the sky and a few punches.
Few sound effects,
So something like that could have really like added to the show a lot. Just like really cool action sequences, and less wide angle lens and a close up would also have been better. Like, I get that they're trying to go for like the cartoonish look, but there is no like, there's no thought or motivation to use these angles except that it's easier to film that way, because you can just film one actor, have a stand-in behind the camera, and then they say their lines, and then you can pick and choose your edits. But it's just like, it loses the impact of what that like camera angle should have. Like, I get it on a lot of, say, like for a character like, say, Buggy, because he's a fucking pirate clown. Okay, that makes sense. But then it's just like, when everyone looks like their face is gonna come out of the camera and just eat me or something, then it's like, all right, like Garp doesn't need this angle here, or Nami doesn't need this angle. It's just like, it's very kind of like, I mean, I know we said like, everyone in the show is quite passionate about the product that has been filmed, but it's also like a little bit lazy as well. Like, you spent so much money on this show, but if you're gonna film it in a way that makes it look like, you know, it's like film student like filmmaking, you know, it's just like there's not much thought into it. And if you look at like Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that, which I haven't seen for a number of years now, like just the way that film is shot, like makes everything look big. Like, it makes it look epic.
Yeah.
And I think that is another issue with the show, is that it doesn't really feel that epic, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's just like...
Yeah, I think like, I think the cast is not the problem here, and I think the production design is not the problem here. I think it's a bit to do with the writing as well.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the writing, there's like some really out of place, odd bits of writing that references Japanese things, but then like never show it. It's like, ooh, I got the soy sauce. He's gonna slice you into sashimi. And I'm like, okay, so is it Japanese people in this show?
I mean, it's fine. Like, people know what sashimi is, but
but it felt forced.
I don't know. It's kind of like, it's hard because it's a Japanese product being translated to English and then being adapted from anime to live action. So there are just some things that are just not gonna work. Like for example, when like the bit you said when Nami finally breaks down and asks for Luffy's help, right?
Yeah.
And then Luffy says, like in the anime, she asks for help and Luffy's like, he just screams, "Atarimaja!" Like of course, like up into the sky, and it's like a big epic moment. And then when it happens in the live action, Luffy's screaming, "Of course I will!" It's weird. It's a weird delivery and a weird shot.
I actually don't remember if he did that or not. I was wondering, does he do this?
It looks real weird and feels really weird. Yeah, because it's an anime thing to do, and it's a Japanese kind of phrase to use.
It's a Japanese thing to do.
When you do that kind of English, translating it to English and then adapting it into live action, it just doesn't work. And like they should have written around it somehow.
I think like with just that being said, again, like the manga and the anime is based on pirates, which is a Western, thing. Like, so you'd be like, like you'd be able to like adapt it quite well, like seamlessly almost. But again, it just loses. The big reason I enjoy One Piece is like the Japanese soul of it. It's like the cultural aspects of over exaggerated characters, that kabuki style acting. It's just there. So like when characters give exposition in anime, it's almost quite poetic with the way they say it. But then when you translate it into English and you add like the Western sentiment of it, like we don't really like that over exaggerated style of acting, and we think it looks uncool. So like you kind of try to change it a little bit.
Yeah.
And
add
so
an
like
F-bomb.
you'll notice.
That's what you do.
You add an F-bomb. And you add a shithead. But like so like again, like when you talk about the characters, like Luffy in the live action, and I'd say like all the characters are more like quippy, I guess. One line, they have to have like the last quip, I guess. So they're kind of more like American superhero style of personality in the live action. Which is like,
again, it's kind of like a localization issue. I think a lot of the humor from the original anime, it's almost impossible to do in live action, just because it's really hard to get that kind of comic timing when it's live action. And just the visual gags as well is really hard to replicate. Like you mentioned Kung Fu Hustle. That's probably the only movie that I can think of where I have laughed at that kind of slapstick, like cartoon humor in live action. So like, I mean, if they could do that, then obviously they should have done that. But I think that's really hard to do.
It's too jarring for an audience, because like, again, this is a product that is being made to have the widest appeal. And again, they're successful because everyone loves the show. But like, I just don't think... I think this show is extremely overrated. Like, it's like...
Would you say it's a bit too safe?
I don't know.
You think they should have gone all in with like the cartoony aspects like Kung Fu Hustle did?
I think so. But like, doing that is just going to appease
us.
Us. Yeah.
They should have done that.
But the thing is, like, if you do that, it's going to hurt the bottom pocket. Like it's people are going to be like, this show is too weird.
But But if you had never watched One Piece before and you watched this show, you wouldn't like it either. It wouldn't make any sense to you. I was thinking about this. I was like, I don't think you can watch... I don't think this show is watchable if you have no frame of reference with what One Piece is. Like,
why are the guys just so fucking like... Why are their clothes so bright? And why is there like every single race under the sun in like a Caribbean-esque setting?
I actually settled into the costuming after a while. At first, I didn't quite like it, but then like I ended up really enjoying like the main character's drip, especially. Like I like their little costume changes and how it's kind of like you see it like in different parts of the anime. It's kind of like callbacks and stuff. It's pretty cool.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of attention to detail and stuff. Actually, speaking of like the people that inhabit the world, like at first I was kind of like, all right, this just looks like downtown LA. You know, everyone is just so diverse. But just looking at rewatching the anime, and it's like, it is like, this is the perfect like show to have that, because it's not the real world. So you can have like heaps of like races, you know,
and it's all about people like sailing the seas and traveling around and shit. So of course, this is a fantasy world that is quite diverse.
Because at first, like when they showed Zoro's backstory, and I saw like this Japanese village that's entirely, you know, made up of white people and black people and Hispanic people, I'm like, this doesn't look. It looked cheap,
but it's not Japan.
I rewatched the anime. Yeah, it is actually not Japan. It's not Wano, and I think the teacher like bought his like school, so it's okay. All right, it made sense. So like, I actually like, I forgave a lot of that aspect, even though I still think it kind of makes it look cheap. Still, I'm sorry. I'm a big fan of like those kind of more genuine like world building aspects. Like if you look at Game of Thrones and you go to the different areas, like people have different accents, they wear different things. But like in One Piece, even if it is like quite, you know, faithful to the anime and the manga, it still feels like quite homogenous. Like this just, you know, monolith, everyone is just the same, and it kind of like, it just looked like
everyone was American.
It kind of gave it, it kind of, everyone is just American, you know. So it's just like, it kind of gave it that high school production feel.
I know what you mean. It is kind of hard. Like you don't feel the identity of each area, I guess, in the live action.
I'm surprised they made Nami and Nojiko's mother so plain looking though, because her like anime counterpart is fucking badass. Like for the, you know, few minutes she's on it, she like knocks out like Arlong and puts a gun in his mouth. You can see that she's a Marine.
Yeah.
You know, in the show she's just like, oh yeah, I found you guys. It's funny because when she's like talking to Nami and consoling her, she's like, she finds Nojiko and Nami, but she's consoling Nami. So it's like cutting to the flashback of her finding them, but saying like, I saw you and I found out I had to protect you. So it seemed like she only really gave a shit about Nami. It's like, oh yeah, Nojiko is just kind of a side. I guess I should look after her as well, kind of thing. So it just kind of looked like she didn't give a shit about Nojiko. Just only you, Nami. Like Nojiko, I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I guess I can. Yeah. But now I'm dead. Maybe if I only had Nami, I would have paid Arlong and it would have been fine.
But 2 kids is too much, actually. I'd rather die than pay for 2 kids. How did you feel about the flashbacks, by the way?
Are you talking about like Luffy's flashbacks with like Shanks?
just the use of the flashbacks throughout the show, because it's pretty faithful to the anime. Like the anime does the same thing.
No, I honestly didn't really have an issue with it. I didn't mind Sanji's flashback. It's unusually violent because
I don't think that happens like, in the anime. I don't think he eats his own leg in the anime. I think he just loses it, doesn't he?
I don't think, because they are on the rock. I'm not sure if they imply that he eats his own leg.
Maybe they.
But like, I mean, like, how would he have survived? Like, you just had to put the pieces together.
Well, no, like Sanji finds him and he's like all skin and bones. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I thought like. I don't remember him eating his own leg.
I know. Isn't it just implied that he eats his own leg?
Maybe I just didn't get it. But yeah, like
is that the strong self-harm themes?
There's a bit of self-harm in this. Nami stabs herself in the arm as well, trying to get rid of her Arlong tattoo.
It's funny because to any American listeners, this show is probably like TV PG, I think, which is like pretty like. Okay for family, but like in Australia this movie is like MA rated, which is almost an R rating. I'm like, damn man, like one of these like strong self-harm themes is like I'm just picturing like Luffy like listening to like My Chemical Romance or whatever. And it's like I hate the word. It's like I'm gonna fucking kill myself or something. And then it's just really like edgy characters just talking about like, what do you think there's a life beyond death? But yeah, it's just
yes,
dark.
in this very light-hearted pirate show.
Because it's like, man, whoever was rating this show in Australia must be like just a massive fucking pussy. I'm telling you, I'm gonna use that term. It's harsh, but yeah, it's fair. Like, you need to watch more stuff, man. Like, if you think this is like self harm, and they do that in the cartoon, and it's like PG, but then like this guy must have just been like, nah, it's too offensive. Can't handle it. MA rating, R rated.
Yep.
No one can watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it does get pretty violent. I was pretty surprised when Zoro cuts that guy in half right at the start of the show.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
Actually, that was pretty cool because that's something that like the anime can be violent, but it's not like
It's not cut
in
people
the live
in half
action.
violent
Yeah,
kind of
the
thing.
guy like gets cut in half. I'm like,
And
okay,
then he ends up
that's
in a
pretty
bag.
cool.
He's like in a burlap sack next to Zoro. I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Strong.
So that was cool.
Yeah, I liked
dug
all the
that.
Zoro bits, actually. I like this iteration of Zoro. It's a little bit different from the anime, but I think it works for the live
Yeah.
action. I think the fact that he's just kind of like just chill and cool, he's just a cool guy, works. There's a lot of like thirst videos of him on the
Apparently, yeah. I mean, he's a pretty handsome guy.
Very
I mean,
handsome,
like, if you've seen him in fucking Kenshin, he's fucking tank.
Yeah,
man. He's
and he
fucking-
does. He clearly loves anime, and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think that's why that kind of comes across in all the action. He's somehow managed to make Santoru not look stupid in live action. So that's pretty good. That's a good effort.
They really like hit it out of the ballpark with
I
that
think
one.
like if we can talk about Luffy for a sec, I really like the guy playing Luffy. What's his name?
Inaki
Godoy. I think he's got like the energy and the sincerity down. Like, I was watching a few like interviews of him and stuff, and he does seem like a genuinely energetic person. To be honest, he looks like someone that would really annoy me in real life because he's really like loud. But he's got good energy for like a Luffy. But I mean, I like Inaki's sincerity and his energy, but I don't like how this Luffy is nerfed in this live action show.
I heard about that
Like
from
he's
another reviewer.
constantly losing and struggling through fights in this show. While like in the anime at the start, before they get to the Grand Line, at least he's pretty much able to beat most enemies pretty easily. Like the way the first part of the anime kind of works is like there's a big bad, right? And it's established as a big bad by doing like beating up a bunch of scrubs or doing a bit of destruction and stuff and showing how powerful that enemy is. And then Luffy rocks up, kind of clowns on them, and then beats them pretty quickly. Through those kind of interactions, you know that Luffy is like he's dependable as a main character. He's dependable as a captain. But like this live action iteration doesn't receive the same treatment. Either due to lack of time or maybe just not as good writing. But like.
He always seems to be in a dire situation.
He doesn't come across as somebody that's like strong, really. I think maybe it's like the lack of impact of some of his moves introductions as well. Like the first time he does Gomu Gomu Rocket in the anime, it's huge. It's like a massive finisher. But the first time we see it in the live action, he just gets like slammed by Garp as soon as he does it. Okay, I guess that move was shit. Then, he's also somehow like dumber in the live action. Like he doesn't have as much instinct.
Oh, really? That's interesting because like my mate that I was watching it with said like Luffy in the show is like more dumb, I guess, than compared to the live action. I guess he meant in a sense that he's less witty in the anime than compared to the American live action.
I think he means like Luffy in the anime. Yeah, he's presented as a big dummy, right? And he does funny stuff because he is a dummy. But like he's also got this instinct that comes across, like the part where they confront Nami at Along Park, and Nami basically tells him to fuck off, right? At first, and then Nami turns away, and Usopp's like, "Well, that was terrible." In the anime, Luffy's like, "Can't you tell, Usopp? Nami is crying." Like he knows instinctively that this isn't the Nami. This isn't Nami doing this. This is like Along or something behind the scenes causing Nami to act like this. Like he knows it instinctively because he's got this like gut instinct, and that helps him a lot in the anime as well. But in the show, like he doesn't get there right away. He has to go talk to the sister and go through this kind of like side thing.
I actually really get what you mean.
Yeah, so like in that way, like that part of Luffy's character doesn't come across in the live action. So again, it kind of like lowers his credibility as a decent main character. So again, I don't think it's Inaki doing like anything at fault. It's just the way this character is written. It's not quite hitting the mark.
I think it's the writing, because like rewatching the anime, I didn't remember Luffy like getting as angry as much, because like he's a bit of a dumbass, you know. Like
he's
when
happy-go-lucky.
like the bit in the when they first I think rescue Zoro, and like he knocks out the mayor, and then like the townspeople, like they're like, who did this? Who? And he's like, who are you guys? And they're like, oh, we're pirates. And Nami's like, you fucking idiot. And then he's just like, yeah, what? I was like, that's the truth. So like, he kind of can't read that situation, but then as you said, like when his instincts like kick in, I think it's especially like poignant during like the bit where Nami is like needs help. I think that was like, from what I've seen so far in the anime, from what I remember, that's like the strongest moment. It's just like, he just knows, and he goes, Atari mai daro. And it's just like, oh man, that kind of that had such an impact on me. And then when I was, I'm just thinking back to live action. This is really a dark scene. I can't see anything. It's just like, I don't know. Just the color palette of the show is quite like literally dark. Do you think? Like, it's just
there are times where it is pretty well lit. Like I think most of the Arlong Park stuff is pretty well lit. I think the Kuro stuff is dark, but that's kind of by design as well. Because in the anime, like it's meant to be like kind of scary, I guess. Because
but like according to the East Blue recap, he fights like Kuro outside, like amongst like other pirates, and like Usopp has like a pretty big moment in the anime where he like fends off quite a number of the pirates because he's a coward, but he actually like fights off a few dudes, and then he gets the shit beaten out of him as well, but he keeps trying. So it's just like, oh, that's kind of cool. But in the live action, he's just like, I'm here, and I'm like the comic side. I guess. It's hard. Like even Zoro's moment when he gets like slashed by Mihawk. I know. What's the actor's name? Makenyu? I've seen him like again comparing him to Kenshin when he's like towering over like a wounded Kenshin. He's like Batosai. It's just very strong. Like it's really like strong emotive Japanese acting. But when he was just like reaching for the sky in the live action and I was doing it in English, I don't know. It didn't really like. I was just like, all right.
I mean, like visually, like. It is the same as the anime. Like, he's doing the same thing that Zoro does in the anime, right? But
he's doing the exact same things.
It's not right. It's not quite right.
It's not quite right, like, a lot of people, like, a criticism for people that what we're doing, criticizing the anime, is like, don't compare it to the anime so much. But you have to. Like, for a show that is touting...
No, I don't think you have to, but I think if it's doing something different to the anime, that's fine. But if it's doing the same thing as the anime, you have to compare it to the anime to see like whether it worked or not.
It's probably just the medium, man. Like, we just like anime. Like, the thing that I don't like about the idea of live action remake is that this is like... What it's saying is like, this is... the adults version, like this is the version, like
the implication, of course, is that cartoons are not for adults.
And like like a lot of people who love the show, like, I finally get to see these characters come to life, but they're already alive in the anime. They're alive. They're like
arguably
they're more alive
than
in the live action. Like that's the world. That's
where they belong.
The clear like. Almost unfiltered look. That's they're there. You kind of don't really need to see it live action. Like I kind of find it strange that like I mean like if you're a One Piece fan and you love the live action, there's more power. But like there's a part of me that doesn't really understand like the love the show is getting. Like you and I came up with the theory that like the showrunners like summon Satan in a circle.
It's a spell,
and like
Tavi.
spell and sign their souls away.
Yeah.
And then any kind of like, it's just everyone just loves it all of a sudden,
It's like when
and
you're
like,
watching it and thoughts of like maybe it's not that good are creeping into your head. You hear that like Sauron whispering. It's like,
it's like, oh, it's like, oh.
and to be honest, I was under that spell for a lot of the time, I think. Right until the end. Because it came in
like,
waves.
yeah.
It was like, oh, maybe this isn't good. And then something would happen. I'm like, okay, I'm back in. Like even that moment.
I reckon that's what happened.
That moment
Like-
where it's like the atarimaija, the of course I will part. I was like, oh, that's bad. But then it was immediately followed up by like a really Yeah. Well, it was immediately followed up by like a really good shot of like Luffy telling his boys, let's go, let's roll to Arlong. And it's kind of like a like a perfect recreation, like both visually but also vibe-wise of what happens in the anime. So I was like, all right, I'm back in. And I think that was just what this show was like me kind of questioning whether this was good or not, and then like just settling back into it until like I said, like the preview of the actual original anime showed me that like, this is quite bad compared to the original anime.
Yeah. I think it's also like a tug and pull as well, because I think the subconscious part of me is like, I'd rather not get murdered by like people on the internet, but also like this wouldn't be a Two Asian Blokes if we weren't honest about what we feel about the show, because there were as you were saying, like there are points like near the end of the show, like maybe I'm liking it a little bit. But then I'm thinking, is this Sauron like whispering into my ear to like it, or like am I betraying my thoughts? Because like I remember seeing like trailers for the show, and I instinctively thought, nah, this ain't it. But then I saw, fans are, this looks legit. This looks like the perfect adaptation, and it's just like,
I think a
okay,
big reason why fans might like it. Like I honestly can't understand why, but maybe it's because this live action adaptation kind of captures the spirit of adventure that the anime has as well running through it. Like there are musical swells in this that are quite effective, and like I think the energy of the mains also sells a lot of like, we're on an adventure, we're in this together. Like the fact that they all have like their individual dreams as well helps a lot. I think like that was a pretty good full stop to the last episode of this series. It's like them kind of reiterating their aspirations to each other, which I think happens in the anime. I'm not 100%, but like.
No, it does, because they like put their foot on the barrel.
So it kind of captures,
I'm gonna be there.
That same feeling. Like whereas like something like Cowboy Bebop did not capture the feeling of the anime at all.
Yeah, they just did whatever they want. Oh fuck, Cowboy Bebop.
So like
is
if it's
a travesty
scale
though.
Of live action adaptations with Cowboy Bebop right down the bottom, and maybe Kenshin is at the top. Let's say, for argument's sake, I would put this. Like pretty more towards the Kenshin end than the Cowboy Bebop end. It's probably like right there in the sweet spot next to Speed Racer. I reckon.
I honestly think that like this is. I wonder if this is the best it could have been.
It's a good attempt. I think it's a pretty damn good attempt. Like stretching as well is really hard to do. Stretching has never looked good in live action, and I think this is probably like the best I've seen it. In recent memory.
It looks pretty good in Kung Fu Hustle. And that movie
there
like
is stretching in that, isn't it?
But I think it's just the style. Yeah. There's a lot of stretching, a lot of cartoonish. You should watch that movie again. It's really funny. Yeah.
But I mean like they are positive. Like the production design, as we've mentioned, is really good. I think it gets robbed a little by the way it's shot, but there's so many like little intricacies in the set design, like that the girl's mansion, whatever her name is, I forget her name. But like, there's so many little knickknacks in that set.
Is it Kaya or something?
Yeah. Like, there's little like penguin carvings in the banisters. I think it's pretty like anime like accurate.
I remember what I was gonna say. So like, you talked about like the show capturing the spirit of like what it is like. It has all the hallmarks of what the anime is. Like it's a grand adventure. It's pretty lovable characters, and it follows it like kind of beat by beat. But do you reckon this is kind of like the California roll equivalent of what it is? Because it has the hallmarks of what sushi is, but it's American, right? So it's kind of like it tastes good, but it's just not. It's not it.
I think some elements of it are Americanized. Like you said, the humor, like the pithy, quippy humor of it is like the addition of swearing. I don't think that's all bad stuff, though. I think
it's not. Yeah, I don't know that I still find that there's like weird references to Japanese things, but without ever showing it. It's like Sanji's favorite things is a rice bowl, but it's just like. But it actually does, because I didn't remember.
Oh,
I
yeah,
guess
there
I was
are no
drunk.
rice balls in. No, I mean, there's one rice ball.
What does she?
Start,
Does she actually give him a rice ball?
Well, she drops it on the floor, and then then he eats it off the floor. Yeah.
So yeah, that would be what the people will have. You were drunk while you were watching it. It's like, yeah, fair enough.
You need to pay attention,
I was
Tommy. If you're going to critique something, you need to pay attention.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll read all the comments on how much of a.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is.
But I don't know. Like, there must have been something about it that made me question whether it was good or not. Because I think it was also the nostalgia value. I think that added a lot. Like I said, I hadn't. Like, it's been so long since I've watched these episodes in particular of One Piece. So like seeing it all again kind of brought back all those memories. And maybe I was watching the live action show with this filter on. Until I was reminded of the actual anime. So yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's nostalgia as well playing a big part in the popularity of this show.
Yeah, because I wasn't hit by the nostalgia watching this. So like I used to watch One Piece, but yeah, I stopped pretty early into my like early 20, like I mean late teens, I would say, because it was just on Cheese TV before like high school. But yeah, like, I mean, the positive thing is it made me appreciate the anime more.
Yeah, but
just
so
how
did Cowboy Bebop.
just how much the medium. But then again, like, I mean, to go back to Cowboy Bebop a little bit, that should have been like an anime that could be like adapted well, because it's not particularly cartoonish. But yeah they fucked it up. But
this is hard. This is hard to adapt.
It is very hard to adapt.
This arc as well is probably the most grounded arc of One Piece. Like, once they hit the Grand Line, it gets fucking wild.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, how are they gonna do like Chopper?
Yeah.
Like, is it gonna be a CGI deer?
Fucking Frankie is weird. They go up into the sky at one point. There's a kung fu polar bear. It gets wild. Like, all the devil fruits that come out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If they can't successfully adapt this portion of the anime, like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They'll probably maybe learn and change, but maybe they'll just do the same thing because everybody seems to love this.
Everyone loves it, so they're not really going to change too much.
But like, the actors will get better as well because they'll grow in their career and stuff. So like, they'll get better at the action as well. But yeah, like, because I find myself comparing this show to like other live action anime adaptations that I've enjoyed. So like the Kenshin movies, as mentioned, even Crow Zero or Alice in Borderland.
Oh yeah, Crow Zero. Yeah, you're right.
Like, and
Old Boy,
sure. But like, a consistent trait of these works is that they've all been adapted from works that I'm not overly familiar with. Like, I haven't really read much Kenshin or Crow Zero, and I didn't even know Alice in Borderland was a thing until the Netflix show came out. I lack a frame of reference while I'm watching these live action adaptations. But like with One Piece, I know exactly why I loved the anime. I forgot for a bit while I was watching the show, but I remember now that it's just that perfect mix of action, humor, and madcap antics. And I don't think this live action, for me anyway, it doesn't quite hit that perfect.
I think you and I we just like Japanese things too much. So I think what it's missing, it's that Japaneseness. Because like you were talking about liking Crow Zero, liking Alice in Borderland,
they're all Japanese
and Kenshin, and they're all Japanese productions. Old Boy's Korean, so maybe it's like, well, Old Boy is a weird one because it's not there was an anime, but it was a manga. So and that was Korean. But like I think Asians just pull off that kind of these kind of anime characters just a bit better because I mean just thinking about like Mihawk in the live action, he looks the part. They got his costuming down, but it's also like I don't know. I just could not like buy it. Like
I didn't mind Mihawk. I think the guy was pretty good. The voice.
Yeah, I think it was okay. I just couldn't like, and it's weird because like in the anime, none of the characters are Asian per se. Like Luffy's supposed to be Brazilian according to Oda.
Yeah,
that would be the most accurate.
Mexican's pretty close, I guess.
Yeah, I guess yeah. But it just didn't really feel. I don't know. It just didn't feel right. And then like you had Ryan Gosling who was Shanks. That was like, yeah.
Yeah, he did look really like Ryan Gosling.
He looked like Ryan Gosling. Yeah. I was like, wow, it's Ryan Gosling. That's a pretty big draw.
Yeah, I think that most of the supporting cast, I think they did a fine job. I think like the translation of these characters was quite well done, like visually. And shout out to Kobe again. I think the actor that played Kobe, fucking spot on, mate. Like, Kobe is the worst character in the anime, and he's also the worst character in this show. But he's meant to be that. He's meant to be like this insufferable wimp of a character. But he nailed it.
He's supposed to be quite strong later on, though, right?
He does come back strong. So does Helmeppo.
He's like a fleet captain.
Helmeppo gets strong.
Helmeppo, yeah. Yeah, Helmeppo is a pretty, like, I think that like Helmeppo is interesting in the live action because he's someone that you can kind of see redeem himself, but in the anime, he's such a bad person.
Yeah, he's a tool.
It's just like it's quite funny. Just like executor. It's just got this really ridiculous design, you know.
But he does redeem himself, and he comes back, and he's got a pretty cool look from what I remember when he comes back.
Oh, really? Okay, that's good on you, Helmeppo, for like wanting to execute a small girl.
From going from like, you know, like definitely a throwaway character at the start of the show to like, you know, pretty big deal towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
No, I think I like all the characterizations. I was pretty happy with them. It just lacked a bit of something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm mixed about the characterizations, honestly. Like, they all look the part but don't feel the part. Even Buggy, like, he kind of just felt like a washed up American comedian. Like, I don't know. It's just like
different, but I think that for me was different in a good way. I think that's kind of like making use of the tone that they had set for this show. Like, he'd be a potty mouth in this world. I buy that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of like I just kept thinking throughout the show, like. And this is me not being familiar with the anime. It'd be like, I'd rather just watch anime. I think that was my sentiment through the show.
And you can now. Netflix has it, so you can watch it. And either way, Netflix
I've been
wins.
Watching it, Netflix wins, So, like, I mean, like, I guess, like, you know, good on Netflix for, I guess, like, bringing out old dinosaurs like me to rewatch the anime. I think, because I think, it's there's a reason why it's the most popular anime of all time.
And
it's
honestly, like, I would probably watch at least the first episode of a second season of this live action adaptation.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, we have to watch it because they cover it on the show.
But just because, like, you know, this is a young crew as well. This, like... as in the actors playing these roles, they're young. They're like up and comers. I think there's a lot of promise there, and because they are quite passionate about this project, at least for the time being, I feel like that for me is probably the best part of this show is that I can feel kind of like everybody's effort in making this show.
Yeah.
I would probably give the first episode a look, and come in with an open mind as well, because they can probably learn some lessons. Hopefully,
they listen to this podcast. Right? They're like, am I going to listen to these two fuzzy Australian dudes or the legions of fans that love us?
Well, us obviously. A couple of haters from Australia.
But like, I'm glad that like the fans like it, and I really do appreciate the sentiment of having Oda so closely tied in with the show's creation, and like him having the blessings, even to the point where he's like, the actors are not allowed to date each other. I'm like, all right, come on, Oda. Like, are you JYP now or something? But like, it's like, it's. I'm glad that there is just a level of care.
Is that really? Did he really make that stipulation to these people?
I think I saw some like throwaway like YouTube short. I can't really confirm that.
That's weird,
I think
man. If true,
like,
that is odd.
That would be weird if it was true. Yeah. I can't confirm whether that's true or not. You guys can probably check it out and have a look at it yourselves. But
big loss to anybody that wants to date the actor that plays Zoro. That guy's a hunk, mate.
Do we just want to wrap it up? So like, I don't think I have too much more to say. Yeah.
All right. I think that's us for now, guys. But what about you guys? Did you enjoy the One Piece live action adaptation, or did you prefer the anime? Like, if you did enjoy this, honestly, like, good, and also why? Let us know. You can get in touch with us at twoasianblokes@gmail.com. Join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation, or you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Two Asian Blokes to see what we're up to. Once again, our birthday special coming up, so send us some questions as well, and we'll answer it during our birthday episode.
Yes, hopefully we haven't shat on your love for the show.
Yeah. No, honestly, like, if you enjoyed it, we would never take that enjoyment away from anyone. We're just trying to, explain why we didn't like it in particular.
But the One Piece universe is fantastic at the end of the day, and I think, like, the source material is fantastic. Like, it is probably so fantastic that it just cannot be replicated any other way. Like, but that's just me in my like weeb loving Japanese aesthetics thing. But like, but would I recommend the live action? Probably not. I'd say I'd watch the anime at the end of the day. But and aside from that,
And it did make me want to go back and watch the anime, so that's good.
I'm probably not going to watch through it because there's 1,000 episodes, but I will probably like steadily watch more One Piece related things.
I keep forgetting where I'm up to in that show. That's one of the main reasons I haven't been able to go back to it, is because there was one time I tried to go back to it after a big break. I watched about like 50 episodes before I realized I've actually seen this already. And then I stopped watching it again. It's hard to get back into it. But anyway, that's enough of our negative ramblings for now. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you later, yeah?
All right. See you later, guys.